Welcome to Exception Seekers, the show where we challenge conventional views on youth mental health and explore stories and experiences that offer alternative perspectives. Welcome to another episode of Exception Seekers. I'm your host, Colleen, and I am thrilled today to be joined by Jesse Griffiths. After over a decade as a film, TV, and theater actor, Jesse made a career pivot into casting, founding Jesse Griffiths Casting. He is focused on championing inclusion and diversity in the casting process and dedicated to nurturing the next generation of artists. He teaches at colleges and universities, leads monthly workshops through his Be Better series, and is a member of the Casting Society of America and Casting Directors Society of Canada. He brings so much perspective and humor and insight and is passionate about creating spaces and having hard conversations to help everyone feel welcome and represented within the screen industry. So have a listen. Here comes my conversation with Jesse.
Hi.
Hi. So good to talk with you.
So good to talk with you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I would love to start is, give us tell us a bit about your journey. We know where you are now with a
Yes.
casting company, but
Yes.
how did you get there?
I mean, there are numerous versions of the story, and I won't
Mm.
I won't bore you with a very, very long one, but the long one is essentially just like the way the world works in mysterious ways. But
Ah.
long story short, I kind of always wanted to be an actor.
Mhm.
We've known each other for a while. You've known I've had that dramatic flair.
You have had dramatic flair, yes.
Always wanted to be an actor. I went to an arts high school. I went to theater school in Toronto where I studied for 4 years. I was an actor in Toronto doing like film, TV, commercial,
Mhm.
theater all across Canada. And I did that for about 10 years.
Wow, 10 years you did
I
that.
know, God.
Okay.
I did it for 10 years. And it was in the last couple of years where there was just something like, I was like, sorry for those listening, I have dogs in the background.
It's all good.
Um, I was just like there felt like there was something like missing, or in hindsight it felt like I was truly kind of on the wrong path. I was like,
Okay.
the excitement that I had for the life of an actor, I was
Mm.
like, I know if anyone's ever known an actor or been an actor, it's a really hard life. And if you
Mm.
don't have to do it, if it's not all you want to do,
Right.
it's really difficult. And
Mm.
I was like, I know there are people who want this more than I do. And
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that there are other things I could be good at.
Mm.
And and kind of when I started having those conversations with myself, opportunities to kind of explore the world of casting started to come up. So
Huh.
started working as like a reader for auditions, and then started being a casting assistant, and then an associate, and did that about 4 years until I was like, okay, enough is enough. I think it's time to do my own thing. But yeah, it was about, it kind of took like 2 or 3 years to transition, and kind of realizing like, is there something else I could do that also excites me? And the world of
Yes.
casting is creative, but
Hmm.
it's also like, my OCD is really like on high alert with Excel spreadsheets and lists and
Okay.
emails and organization, and it just kind of felt like the perfect combination of who I am and what I like to do. So
Huh.
that's the long story, I guess.
Okay.
There's a long
Yeah,
version, but that's kind of it. Yeah.
I like it. But then to like take the leap to start your own
Yes.
is, I think, a leap.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was there like a final moment where you just said, okay, this is it. I'm gonna do it, or did it really kind of just evolve a little bit?
There definitely had to be a moment where I was like, I think I need to make the pivot. But
Mhm.
I was working for another casting director named Stephanie Gorin. She's one of the best in Canada. She works on like all the major musicals. She's very well regarded, very good at her job. And I worked with her for a number of years, and she kind of, taught me the way of
Mhm.
the world of casting. And so while I was working for her, I started taking on like smaller side jobs of like, let's
Okay.
cast your low budget short film or music video or commercial. And I was doing
Mhm.
those things on the side. And so I was working full time with her. and I'm working nights and evenings on my other kind of side gigs. I'm like, it was just too much. I'm like, there's enough kind of work kind of coming here. There was enough kind of stuff that was happening on the side where I'm like, I think that I might be able to eke out a living for a little while just
Yep.
by doing this.
Yes.
And because, as an actor, I was very good with my money. I was very frugal.
Mm.
Having worked in a restaurant industry where cash was king, I was like, okay, I can support myself for X number of months if I don't
Yep.
make a single dime.
Yep.
And then I was like, I think that I just have to give it a shot. And looking back on it, I'm like, you're absolutely crazy for thinking you could do this.
Mhm.
And I don't know if I would have done it now, but at the moment I was like, you're still young-ish. You could still
Right.
go of it.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so yeah, I had to, at some point I had to kind of make that decision. I had a lot of support from family and friends in the industry and
Yes.
so
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. And so now give us a little bit about Jesse Griffith's casting. It's a team, like it's
It's a team. I've
yeah.
got like one lovely assistant and a bunch of people who kind of work for me on a contract basis. So it's
Okay.
a full operation. I guess we've been doing this for about 7 years now,
Yeah.
and we do everything. So film, TV, video game, commercial, voiceover, web series, live theater. Um,
So cool.
it's really cool. I love my job. We've got four things in TIFF this year, which is always exciting. Uh,
Yes.
the Lion King here in Toronto, which I work
Hmm.
on, is just wrapping up. It's been a really fun year so far.
Yes. Well, and casting's so interesting because it's something that I don't always think much about, but have been thinking more about when I was, well, when I follow everything that you do,
Right.
and then, in thinking of this, because it's such an influence on like who we see on screen.
It certainly is. Yeah, and I guess like a preconceived notion that people have about castings that we get the final say. The casting directors are like, you get the job. And unfortunately, that's not the case. Well, fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know if I want that entire pressure of like deciding someone's like fate and career.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
don't we don't get to decide who actually gets the role, but I take a lot of responsibility in like who we do bring in. I think that that's like a really important part of the job. Um,
Hmm.
and so while we don't get to decide like who gets the job, we do get to really influence who we put in front of our producers or directors or writers or producers. Um,
Right.
so it's important. Yeah.
So, as someone who's not in this industry,
Yeah.
so someone says, I want to produce something, I need people in it. They go to
Yeah.
you go find the people.
Yeah.
And I imagine there's lots, but then you narrow it down
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
then you bring your selected small group to the people doing it.
See, you know a lot more than you think you do.
Did I nail? I
Yeah.
will be your next contract person.
There you go. Yeah, that's basically it. So, we're kind of, there are a lot of really great casting directors, in Toronto and Canada,
Mhm.
and we all kind of have access to the same actors, but it's how we kind of interpret the script or how we visualize the story, and who we get excited about. Like we're kind of hired for our taste,
Interesting.
and so a really fun, creative part of the job that
Yes.
there are literally thousands of actors in Canada. There's over like 20,000 working in Toronto alone.
Wow.
Finding like the five that could be perfect for a role. If I put out, a
Mhm.
breakdown, I'm looking for this role,
Mhm.
I could have 500 people submitted on it. And I can't audition
Wow.
500 people. I can maybe audition, 15 to maybe 25, depending on the role size. And from that, I
Right.
have to show like five people that I'm like, these are the
Right.
top five. And in that, you
Yeah.
want to make sure that you have a spectrum of like who the client wants to see. Like they might have a very specific vision of who they want, and so you want to honor
Right.
that.
Yes.
Also, want to challenge them a little bit. Like here are people that I think that might be good that you might not have thought of.
Hmm.
You want to make sure there's like proper representation, just in terms of diversity as well.
Hmm.
So these are all things that kind of come into play,
Yes.
when you're putting your recommendations forward.
Hmm. That also just, as you're talking about like the sheer numbers, and just I'm like, oh, that'd be really hard to be on the acting side.
Yes. Yeah.
Because there's
Like, yes,
like,
exactly. Hence why I
it's just, yes.
stopped being an actor.
Yeah.
It's actors kind of, when I tell those numbers to actors, they kind of freak out a little bit. Like, oh my gosh, 500
Yeah.
auditions. But then I tell them, like, then if you get that audition, you
Right.
already kind of won that mini lottery. Like, you are already
Yeah.
ahead of hundreds of other people.
Yes.
And at a certain point, what I struggled with as an actor, kind of going back to like one of your original questions,
Hmm.
it, it it- it's one of those jobs, like, you can work as hard as you can. You can put so much time and devotion into it.
Hmm.
It's not always the best person who gets the job, or
Hmm.
your interpretation of the role might just be different than what they had in mind.
Right.
And so
Hmm.
it's hard, like, no matter how hard you work, you might not see instant results. And
Yes.
that's hard for me. Like, I like the idea of, like, if I work hard, I can see things happen.
Yes.
And with acting, it's a lifelong endeavor. So
Yes.
you could have a great audition, they might love you, you might be second choice and not get the job, but then they might remember you 5 years down
Right.
the road. So it's like, just
Yes.
it's a career of, like, planting seeds and just doing your
Yes.
best job every time.
Yes. And did they like when you were in school for this, did they prepare you for that? Mentally of just like how no, you're laughing. Like because I just think like you've got to be able to manage the roller coaster of that to have
Yeah,
longevity.
I think that they did and they didn't. They did say, like, if you don't have to do this, don't do it. Like, they actually
Okay.
said that to us.
Okay.
But, you know, as a young person, I was like, screw you. Like, what do you know? Of course I want to do it. And I
Mhm.
didn't really, like, sit with it. But at the time I did really want to do it.
Yeah.
And I also kind of took that on as a challenge and
Mm.
not really let it sink in. But there are people who ask me, I have kind of one-on-ones with actors all the time. They're like, what should I do? Should I keep doing this? And it is like, it's no one else's position to tell you, like, to keep going or to stop or what you should do, because who's
Right.
to say? Um, I'm seriously of the mindset that there's, like, one role that is perfect for everybody out there. Like, your movie is out there. Now, whether or not that movie gets written and whether or not they're looking for
Mm.
you is different, but your story, everyone has their own story. It's just a matter of, like, if it's going to be produced or not. So,
Right.
you could,
Right.
for actors that they just hit that perfect role at that perfect time,
Yeah.
that's how careers are made sometimes. And the idea of, like, luck coming into something was really hard for me to kind of
Mm.
grasp with.
Especially if you're, yeah, A leads to B and
Yeah,
work
I'm a
yourself
very
into this.
logical person. So I was like, as much as I love
Right.
the dramatic flair, I like logic and sequence and rules,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that
Yes.
was
Predictability.
yes,
Hmm.
yes, yes.
Hmm.
So that was
Yes.
hard for me to cope with, but
Yes.
and that's why I still have so much respect for actors, and I love, like, working in this industry because I can still be with them
Mhm.
and collaborate with them, and be very empathetic to their journey,
Yes.
support them how I can.
Yes. You mentioned sometimes when you're having conversations with actors, because part of what you do is like a coaching consultation side as well.
Yeah, it's less. I mean, it's, like, not an official part. Like, it's not a part of the business model. It's just something that
Okay.
I've started doing. It's been over, like, 2 years now. But once a month, we have a program we operate called Do Better,
Mhm.
and it the format kind of changes every month. Like, sometimes we're
Yeah.
doing workshops or panels. Often it's like I set up, like, kind of one-on-one sessions with, like, members of the BIPOC community here in Toronto,
Mhm.
to it really is kind of twofold. It's an opportunity for actors that I'm not familiar with to just kind of have a frank, genuine conversation and get to know them.
Mhm.
And it's for actors who have questions about the industry that are able to have access to a casting director who can be, as I said, hopefully honest and sympathetic, but
Yeah.
kind of give them some advice. And it's kind of been a really important part of the work that we've done, in an effort to, like, connect with a largely, like, underserved part of our acting community here in Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do better. Yeah. I like
Yeah.
that.
The do,
Yeah.
the do better actually came from, like, myself. Like,
Hmm.
I think there's an opportunity for myself to do better. Like, I realized, kind of going back to what we first started talking about, that like as a white cis male in a position of power, there's a lot of responsibility as a casting director.
Yeah.
And as I said, like we don't have, I don't get to decide who gets the role, but I do have a lot of say in who I see, and it's important to kind of always challenge myself to make sure that I don't have an unconscious bias, or if I do, to acknowledge it in the casting process. Um,
Yeah.
and this was an opportunity, like, oh, there are, opportunities here that have been overlooked for a lot of members of the acting community in Toronto, and I think that everyone could benefit from more conversations like this. So that's kind of how it started.
That takes a lot of insight. Just like a lot of like reflective practice to, I think, see
Yeah,
that and then do something with it.
yeah, I had a lot of support. I had a lot of like really great resources of people that I kind of reached out to.
Hmm.
And really, it was really scary at first because one of the first things we did was kind of have like a town hall, like members of the BIPOC acting community come hop on Zoom and tell me what casting directors are not doing well in Toronto. Like,
Wow.
let's get into it.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was scary, and I felt vulnerable, and I
Mm.
was worried about saying the wrong thing, and I was like, no, this is exactly what I have to do. Like
Okay.
this is kind of part of like educating myself and growing and connecting, and also it's really important to admit, like, you don't know everything, and
Mm.
like there are people who can help you, and
Yes.
truthfully, it was a really like enlightening, incredible experience, and
Yeah.
continues to be in these like monthly meetings.
And what were sort of themes that came out of that where you said, okay, these are like pieces that if I'm now in this role that I either need to focus on or incorporate, or these are gaps that are like really we're dropping.
Yeah, I mean a lot. I mean, just some basic things. You know, unfortunately, so when we put out a breakdown, a breakdown's like a one pager of like the actors we're looking for and descriptions of the characters. So like
Okay.
age, gender, ethnicity, character description.
Hmm.
You know, it wasn't that long ago where oftentimes we'd be working with our creative partners and they would default to white, just not because it was part of the story, but because that's what they were comfortable writing. And actors were seeing this on breakdowns, or
Right.
there wasn't that long ago when you could pass for a different ethnicity for,
Mm.
for the sake of like telling a story, and like this is just like not common practice or good casting
Okay.
these days. So those things were coming up, or
Yeah.
looking at stories that were from the lens of like a BIPOC lived experience, but they were written by someone who was white. Like these
Mm.
things, we have to be asking ourselves, what kind of projects are we working on?
Mm.
Practices with people like who have different hair texture, and how to respectfully go about that in the casting process or in the hair and makeup process in terms of cutting or treatment or braids or dreads. What does that look like?
Mm.
And a lot of people had questions about like taking on or turning down certain roles that, they're at the beginning of their careers, but they were always going out for, you know, a stereotype that they didn't feel like they wanted to be representing anymore.
Yes.
How do you
Mm.
professionally turn down work when there's not that much work, or when work is
Right.
scarce, or when you have to pay your bills? So having kind of big,
Hmm.
like ethical, moral, philosophical questions about the work
Hmm.
we're doing. Um, those are some of the
Hmm.
things. I mean, it was a long
Wow.
conversation, but those, and it was a
Yeah.
couple years ago, but that tip of the tongue, those things we kind of
Yeah.
talked about.
Those are a lot, and there's a lot of like systemic pieces into that.
Yes.
And so, like, is this a direction that casting is going in general, or is this a direction that like certain casting companies are going? It just in terms of their like awareness and inclusion and
Yeah. I think it's
mhm.
definitely the way the majority of people are going, and um, it's kind of it's the industry as a whole, which is really exciting, because now what's happening is you have different people in different positions of power, where you have actors who are not, or writers who are not necessarily white in a writing in a writer's room, or now they're producing, And
Mhm.
so they're writing their stories. So they're writing stories for, their community. So now we're seeing much more diverse breakdowns and diversity in the producers and the writers, the directors. Uh,
Mhm.
and so, I think everyone kind of needs to take ownership over the systemic issues that have gotten us to this place. But it's really been exciting to see like, oh, there are changes being made, and now we're starting to tell stories for everybody, and people want to see these stories.
Mhm.
Actors, can see themselves represented on screens, and those who are not
Mhm.
actors can see themselves represented on screens. So
Yeah. Yes.
it's yeah, I think it's really exciting.
So being in this for so long, how are you seeing or are you seeing a change in people in the actors kind of entering those programs or graduating in terms of like what they're maybe expecting from casting directors or producers or how they're approaching their work versus when you were in school or coming out? Is there a change?
It's a really, that's a great question. So like it wasn't that, I mean, just in terms of like timeline, what's interesting is like, I mean, I obviously graduated a while ago.
Yeah, I'm not making you not you're young. I'm not
No, no, but like, but
back
I'm
in the
saying like
day.
the last couple of years, like the industry, there have been a lot of changes, like Black Lives Matter, Me Too,
Mhm.
COVID. These are all like things that significantly impacted like humanity, but also, in part the arts, in
Right.
terms of how we approach interacting with people, the stories we're telling, who wants to go in this, who feels
Mhm.
safe to go into these spaces, what stories need to be told. I think like without a doubt, um, seeing much more diversity coming out of theater schools because there is I don't really, not that I haven't don't want to hypothesize, but that people are now seeing an opportunity for themselves on screen. So this could be
Right.
a career that they see themselves succeeding at.
Yeah.
So that's been really exciting to see. But there's also in the same breath kind of this push for this like more real person, raw, no
Mhm.
training, just like you, as it kind of going back to like my earlier statement, like there people are seeing themselves like, oh, I could be an actor, and some of them can be, where
Interesting.
not everyone needs to go to theater school and train for 4 years. Truthfully, for myself, it was a 4 year program. I don't know if I left becoming a better actor. I left having a better sense of like myself as a
Mm.
person and the people I want to be with. And that's they're still some of my closest best friends are those from those 4 years.
Mhm.
And to be an actor, to be in the arts, it is really all about community. So that was my kind of big takeaway.
Okay. So yeah, establishing your people,
Yeah.
kind of getting the opportunity to connect with your people.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
that's a lifelong endeavor. Like your
Yeah.
people change, your wants, your needs, your expectations, like things
Mhm.
people change and evolve and
Mhm.
but some, yeah, my theater school friends are still some of my best friends.
Yes. But it sounds like even through what you're doing right now, you're like fostering that community, right? Like some of these like town halls or the um like whether they're your like whatever those monthly pieces of do better look like, right? That you're still like giving people the opportunity to make those connections who are maybe out of school or were never in school, which
Yeah,
is
exactly.
important.
Exactly. And I think that it's something that even I didn't have as a young actor. Like it's whenever I do these, there, I whenever I do like the workshops, we'll have like 30 or 40 people on the Zoom, and it's
Wow.
always not always the same questions, but a lot of the same questions keep coming up. And I was
Mhm.
like, I just felt like such a void or a lack of knowledge for some basics that I feel like
Mhm.
could dispel a lot of myths and reduce a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress with a couple of
Right.
like keywords that I wished I had when I was a younger actor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I picture people, graduating and then there's kind of like the great scattering
Yes.
and
Yeah.
you're just who knows where you are and then yes, having the chance to like speak to someone like yourself, I'm sure.
Well, I think that, not to get too personal, but we
Mm.
both benefited from having such great mentors in our lives at a younger age of like what it means to be like a good leader and a mentor
Yeah.
and a good communicator and also like a strong sense to, give back and leave the door open and, kind of be open and accessible. Yeah.
Hmm. Yes, absolutely. So if there was a parent listening to this, let's say, who has a young person interested in pursuing the
Yeah.
arts or acting,
Yeah.
or if someone is listening, he's like, this is what I want to be doing.
Yes.
Um, what would be the advice that the things that you wish you'd known or you're hearing now from people? Um, what would be the wisdom you would
Sure.
first?
So I think, well, I guess it depends on where you're at in your like career,
Mm,
or your endeavor, or your dream. I
sure.
think that like if you've never done it, you're like, I want to give this a shot, go take an acting class. Like there are literally acting classes everywhere. That you can do them on Zoom. You can be in person.
Yeah.
Like go see if it's something you want to do. Like try it out.
Yes.
Like, and also, do you like the arts? Like, do you like going to the theater? Do you like going to
Yeah.
the movies? Do you like watching a play or opera or stand up or sketch or whatever it is? Like, do you like these
Yes.
things?
Yes.
Um, uh, it's what I would also say is like it also like doesn't have to be your career, and that's
Hmm.
not a thing like to shy away
Hmm.
from. Like, it can also be the best hobby, passion ever that like just fills
Right.
your life. So like community theater, like there are so many opportunities to kind of go explore it. But I would say like see if you like it first, and then if you do, then join one of my monthly workshops. I can tell you all about how to do it. But like
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
take classes first, see if you like it, and then you can talk about what the business side looks like it in terms of
Yes.
going to further training or getting an agent or finding
Right.
auditions by yourself. There are lots of uh,
Yeah.
I'm always cautious about this. There are lots of opportunities online for people to audition and book jobs without having
Hmm.
an agent. I would say
Okay.
like be cautious and like use your best judgment. There are a lot of great opportunities. There are opportunities that you should be wary of, and
Hmm.
you got to just do a gut check when you're kind of looking at those things. But see if you like it first. And if you do, there's ways. There's a lot of material even online. Um,
Hmm.
from I don't know where your listeners are from, but from a Canadian perspective,
Yeah.
ACTRA is like the union representing actors for like film and TV and commercial and radio. So they are the union, and they have a lot of materials on their website. So
Cool.
check out actor.com as like a beginning place in terms of
Yeah.
getting yourself.
Yeah. So kind of yeah, explore it and
See,
see what you think. I like your idea of community theater. I
sure.
have seen some, well, actually, I remember watching you years ago.
Yes, yes.
Yes, it was excellent. And but I've seen such great community theater that it's people who just get the chance or take the chance to like express that side of themselves and do that, but it's out of love and not career per se.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah,
if you want to make a career, like who might have said like do it or don't do it? Like just see if you
right,
like it. Yeah.
right, yes. Do you ever find because you mentioned this a little bit around people trying to figure out like what's the role that I want to take? Like I'm new, I want my name out there. I need to build the resume, but then there's that sense of how do I want to be portrayed? Um, how how do you help people in that stage of their careers navigate that? Because I imagine that's really tricky. Or if they're still trying to figure out, who am I as an actor,
Yeah.
or as a person, even,
Yeah.
and then, um, yeah, how do you help them figure that out?
I think well, I don't want to say like I help them, but like it's just like I think just like kind of meeting them where they're at. So
Mm,
so part of what happens in those like kind of conversations, it's either oh, I'm being typecast as
mm,
this role. I'm only getting seen as this. I'm only auditioning for these roles. What should I do? Which is kind of what a lot of these like kind of
okay.
one-on-one chats are about. I'm only going out for teacher roles or what
Mhm.
fill in the blank there.
Sure.
And I guess and my question to them is like uh, in the initial stages of becoming an actor, like if you are continuously going out for a role
Mhm.
and casting directors are bring you in and you're auditioning and you might book it or you might not, but it's you're continually getting these opportunities, take them for as long as you can because
Mhm.
you're being seen. These are opportunities
Mhm.
to audition, to build
Mhm.
up a network and relationship with a casting director. It looks good for your agent if you're going out for these or if you're continuously being seen. And and it's money in the bank. And unfortunately, like, at the end of the day, we all got to pay our bills.
Yes.
Now, if you're continuously being put out for roles that you do not feel comfortable auditioning for
Mm.
because they are perpetuating a negative stereotype, because you don't feel like you want to be represented in that way, you feel that they are offensive to yourself, or you don't align with their moral values in the script,
Hmm.
then those are legitimate concerns, and those are opportunities to talk to your agent about how you're being represented and being presented
Right.
to casting.
Right.
So it's like it's kind of navigating those things. It's actors actors have I feel what I struggle with is like not a lot of control over their career sometimes. Like sometimes you are just waiting for the phone to ring for like you got the job or you didn't get the job.
Yes.
And so the ability to take ownership over like this is something I want to audition for or this is something I don't want to audition for, like that is in your wheelhouse and like you have
Yes.
every right to say like yes or no. And also what's happened sometimes, and it happened kind of earlier when I was kind of just starting out, is that they would say like, no, I don't want to audition for this role because it's perpetuating a negative stereotype, or I don't like how this character is being portrayed. And
Hmm.
then sometimes that information gets back to casting, and we're like, oh yes, this is actually a horrible way to present this role, or this is not how it should be written, or we need to rework the breakdown. Thank you for communicating that to us. Let's readjust. So sometimes when people sit in silence, like nothing changes, and people feel like they don't want to rock the boat or cause
Right.
trouble, where at the end of the day, having meaningful conversations actually change things. So
Right.
that's been kind of a learning process for some people too.
And it gives you more information to then go back to the producing
100%.
team to,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, interesting. So, so when you think of some of these conversations you're having, what excites you about the field of casting? Like what's coming, or just I don't know, or Canadian art? Like are there things going on right now where you just think like, I'm excited for this and or like hopeful to see where this goes?
I'm, you know me, I'm always optimistic. Um, it's been a really, I guess to be pessimistic first, it's been a really difficult time in our industry.
Hmm.
You know, uh, for the last number of years, it's been COVID which dominated
Yeah.
for so long, which really kind of rocked our industry.
Hmm.
Strikes north and south of the border, lockouts, economics, presidential elections. Like there are things that have
Right.
really kind of
Yes.
changed how we operate. Tariffs on art, like like things that have kind of really gotten
Mm.
people nervous
Mhm.
about art industry. AI has been a significant disruptor for us. So those are all things to be worried about.
Mhm.
What I'm optimistic about is like that people always need stories and they will always need to escape and they will always need to laugh and to cry and feel a part of community. So I'm optimistic that our industry is like not going away. It is evolving and the stories we tell are now evolving. And
Mhm.
the individual stories that we've are now kind of expanding that we're seeing and hearing and watching more of, people are seeing a demand for those, whether it's like women in leading roles
Mhm.
or people of different marginalized communities now like being on the cover of like Variety, like just really great exciting opportunities that
Yeah.
um, are slowly changing our industry. So I'm excited for those things. I
Yeah.
also like tackle a lot of like queer projects, like those in my line of work. Like people are like, oh, these are when I'm working with like queer producers and writers and directors, they want to go with uh, usually casting directors they feel comfortable with, and I like do a lot of work in that community.
Yes.
That's been really exciting for me, working with uh,
That's cool.
yeah, creative partners that might not have access to casting, might not have
Yes.
the resources, but have exceptional scripts and need support. So
Yes.
I do a lot of work on those projects that have since gone on to like TIFF and Tribeca and Cannes and just really great,
That's huge.
exciting places. Yeah,
Hmm. And I imagine part of, yeah, part of a community that like, yeah, hasn't had the platform for a voice all the time.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there any projects that you have or are working on that you're just excited about or proud of that you want to share and give yourself a like shout out for?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, like all of them.
Yes.
But like right now, I worked on this really, really cool project with my like mentor and colleague Stephanie Gorn, who she was my last boss.
Hmm.
We did this great project called North of North,
Oh.
which
Hmm.
took place in Iqaluit, and it just got just got picked up again for a second season. And
Cool.
for the casting for that, I traveled around the Arctic for like 6 weeks doing like
Wow.
calls, like going to community centers and schools and walking the main streets and putting up flyers and hopping the radio, and seeing that project come to life has been really, really exciting.
Hmm.
Um, and then looking at coming up for season two is really great.
Hmm.
Yeah, I work on like right now. I think I'm just looking at like my file system. I think we've got like 12 projects on the go right now. We do still like a lot of commercial work, but then we've got a couple features coming up and a new TV series and docu-series about hockey
Wow.
players. It's just a variety, which kind of keeps
Yeah.
things exciting for me.
Yeah, that is very exciting. I just started watching that show too.
Oh, there you go.
That's really neat. Yeah. And I was like, I love this. Like, what a cool story being told of
Yeah,
this, community and this, like, just that you wouldn't otherwise normally see. Like, yeah,
exactly.
this is great. Yeah. Okay. I have a question for you that I ask everyone. This is
Okay.
like, okay. So, as this idea of exception seeking, right? The sort of like forging our own path, looking outside the box.
Yeah.
Um, and as someone who's done this, when do you think you first started to see things differently? Or when did you like realize that maybe you start to see things a little differently?
Oh my goodness. Oh, like what age or
Yeah, or when you look back, what experiences do you think gave you the confidence to like go the different route, go outside the box?
Oh my goodness, that's such a great question, and I need to. It's such a great question. I honestly, I don't think there was a specific moment. I think it was such a culmination of like people and events,
Mhm.
family, friends, work opportunities of people that kind of gave me the support to kind of venture off and try something new. When I was thinking about pivoting from acting to going into casting, I was really worried about what other people would think of me in the acting
Mhm.
community. I thought that they would think that I was a quitter, that I couldn't
Mhm.
hack it, that I didn't belong, that I wasn't good enough.
Mhm.
Like all these things that
Yeah.
I think like everyone kind of tells themselves at a different point. I'm not good enough. I can't do this.
Yes.
Imposter syndrome, whatever it might be.
Yes, yes, and I already have these
Yeah, they're
thoughts,
already
and so
there.
now if I do it, it's just putting it out there to everybody to confirm it. Yes.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And I didn't know if I could do it, and I still don't know if I can do it. Like we're all just like, who knows? We're just like we're going with it. But I at a certain point, I made an Instagram post of like, hey, I'm doing this. I'm launching my own business, and the onslaught of support from everybody was like truly overwhelming. It was like, of course you should do this. You're gonna be great at this. Wishing like just the words of affirmation, like no one wants you to not do well. Like everyone wants you to succeed. And
Right.
and the idea that, why would I surround myself with people who would not want the best for me? So
Mm.
it was just that was a moment of like I could fail. This could be a disaster. Like it really could fall on its face.
Yes.
And uh and there were times it was close. Like COVID was really rough for our industry, but
Yep.
the idea that I don't know, you have to take a leap and you have to try. And there was a sense of, I'm
Mhm.
a hard worker and I analyze risk and I do all those things. At a certain point, you have to take a leap. And my idea was like, if it fails, it fails, but will not be for lack of trying, you know?
Mm.
So
Yes.
let's give it a shot.
Yes. And if it doesn't work as you need or hope, then you've got that community of people around you to like catch you afterwards.
100%.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
I love what I do now. It's hard work. It's
Sure.
it's long days, it's evenings, it's weekends, it's very little holiday, like
Mhm.
it's calls at 11 o'clock at night. Like things happen constantly.
Yeah.
Um, but like the good just so outweighs the bad, and it's an exciting, like it's just a really great culmination of kind of the work that I like to do and the people I like to surround myself with.
Yeah.
There's a very there's maybe I shouldn't say this. This was a very brief moment in time where I was debating going to law school, and like,
Really?
yeah, I had written the LSAT, so it was like on the cusp of
Yeah.
going to law school, and then this like really great theater gig came along, which I couldn't say no to. Well, I could have said no to, but I didn't want to say no to.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I want it. This is what I want to do. And
Uh,
looking back on it, I'm like, I know a lot of lawyers who love their life and are very good at their job.
mhm.
It would not have been what I wanted to do. Like, you know, the stress and like the chaos of this industry, as much as it is uh, chaotic at times, like I love
Mhm.
it, and
Yeah.
it keeps me busy.
Isn't that interesting? Hey, how the timing of certain things sometimes, but then like maybe being open to that
Yeah,
too, to like see it. Um,
I think yeah.
mhm.
Sorry to cut you off, but I think that's it, is being open to it. Like there were a number of times that an opportunity to kind of work in this field, work in casting, kind of were there in the background, and I kind of like shoved it off, and it kept on coming back. It kept on coming back, and I was like, okay, like let's see
Yeah.
what this looks like. And so, you have to do what's right for you at the right time, and I think that I, did, but also being
Mhm.
open to what your community or friends or universe is kind of uh, like whispering in your ear, like be open to those things.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I as you were talking, I thought of another question that I would love to ask. As you were and it came up to with the LSAT piece. So, for your family, you're going to school for theater.
yeah,
And then you write the LSAT.
yeah,
And then you're like, oh, actually, theater.
yeah,
Um, those are like pivots.
yeah.
How was your family? Like what did they think about your career choice and school choice and where were they on it? Because I feel like sometimes kids say, I think I want to go to acting, and parents are like, okay, I don't know, because it seems like it could be hard, or I don't
Yeah.
know. It doesn't always hit the same as like I'm writing the LSATs.
No, and it's true. And you know what? Like, without getting too emotional here, I just had the best parents ever. Like, I really do. Uh, when from the beginning, when I said that I was going to go to theater school, there was never, I had applied to every other, university in Ontario and Canada for poli sci or whatever it was, and I applied to two theater schools, and I ended up going to my dream school, and never at any point did I ever have any pushback from my parents whatsoever. I mean, my dad was a judge for 25 years. Like, I'm sure he probably would have loved that I had gone to theater school, but I don't think he would have cared. I think that he probably would have wanted to go to theater school himself, to be honest. So I know that a lot of people, that I'm really lucky that not everyone has the support in terms of a career, in terms of, what you should do. I was really lucky that I never had any pressure from my parents in terms of, where to go. And if anything, just like an overwhelming amount of support,
Mm.
I was really lucky that way.
Yes. Oh, that gives me like goosebumps. As you,
I don't want to cry on your podcast,
yeah.
but like, literally, like, it's a really hard
Mhm.
life, and uh, I was gonna say like life in general is hard. Like, not just like the arts, life in general is hard, and I just have the best parents who have like supported me the entire time.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mm.
because
Talk.
I remember I was like, I told them, I think I'm gonna start like my own casting company, and they're like, "What do you need?" And I was like, "Truthfully, to start a casting company, like you don't need a lot." I was like, "I think I might need a new laptop." They're like, "We can help you," and I was like,
Yeah.
and they did like that, and that's kind of all like
Yeah.
financially, other than like support,
Yes. I might need a logo or like, yeah, but it's
all these things,
yeah.
yeah. But
Mm.
that was a really exciting time. It was like the building of the company was a lot of fun. Yeah,
Yeah, that is exciting. Yeah, I often wonder too just how much that sort of unconditional support just grounds gives a lot of grounding for risk taking. Because there's that, I'm so solid here that I can for sure
yeah,
try this experiment, indulge in interest a little bit and see where it goes and know that, I've got that landing to come back to.
yeah. And
Yeah.
you have to be careful with it because like it is very much a privilege to have
Mhm.
that.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
there are people that do not have a landing, and I
Hmm.
was like super aware of that, and
Hmm.
so I don't want to take that for granted, and
Hmm.
some people don't have that benefit.
Hmm.
Um, and it didn't, and it opened a lot of doors. And taking a risk is hard at any point, but having like a landing or support, or like, oh, if this business goes belly up and I can't pay my bills, I can move back to Ottawa. As a
Hmm.
worst case scenario, I can move back to Ottawa and live with my
Yes.
parents. But not everyone has that, and that's also just something like, for you, for me, for your listeners, it's
Hmm.
definitely a privilege for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything we didn't cover? Anything you think you want to like add?
No, I just like thank you so much for having me. Like,
That's so nice to see you.
you too. I think
Yeah.
that I don't know. I like to have these chats. You asked some great questions about the industry, but also it's like it's just a human thing to talk and connect. And while
Hmm.
this might have seemed like casting heavy or arts heavy, I feel like it's like humanity and how we connect in community. Like that's like for me, I think the kind of biggest takeaway from these kind of chats is
Hmm.
um, yeah, how we connect with people. And also like I'm always curious, and like yourself, like how do people get to where they are, what they're doing,
Yeah,
like the
I
the
know.
journey.
Hmm.
And while my body is feeling older these days, my spirit is still young, and I feel like I'm kind of just getting started. So I'm excited.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time with this because I know you are very busy and I love how you are so like actively and intentionally opening the door to conversations, and inviting people in even if it's uncomfortable sometimes, to learn and to have because I think that's important and I think, giving the opportunity for people to like voice how they're feeling about things when maybe they wouldn't have experienced that before or just connect with with people to like create their own landing space, I think is really, really important. And I love that you're using what you do to create that. So
Well, right
thanks.
back at you. Thank you
Mm.
for having this conversation and being so delightful. And also, just like it's so good to see you.
I know you too. I know. Hopefully soon in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks, Jesse. Thanks for listening to Exception Seekers. Tune in again as we continue to seek overlooked stories that offer new perspectives, disrupt limiting beliefs, and inspire transformative approaches to nurturing youth mental health.
This podcast was produced by North Star Networks, the guiding light for progressive media.